Hello friends, this is Mohit Khatri. In this video, we will learn about how to install SQL Server and how to create your first database inside the SQL Server. Let's start by installing the SQL Server. To install the SQL Server, first you can open your browser and you can search for SQL Server, download for Windows, your version and then the bit it supports. So once you search for it, you will see in the search result, the very first link comes is where you can download the SQL Server from the Microsoft website. And you can open this link. This will navigate you to the Microsoft website where if you come down, you will see the SQL Server is available in the free edition in the two form. One is for the developer, one is in the SQL Server Express. So you can download either of this, but I will prefer you can download the SQL Server Express. So to download it, you can simply click on download now button. Once you click on it, an exe file will be downloaded. And next step is you can simply click and install this executable file. Once this is installed in your system, SQL Server will be installed successfully. And when SQL Server is installed, next step is you can open the SQL Server. To open the SQL Server, you can go to your search area where you can search for SQL Server Management Studio. So here you can see it is available. So from here I can click on open. Once I open the SQL Server, it will be open. I've already opened it, so it looks like this. So the SQL Server is open and it is ready to use. So till now we have seen how we can download and install the SQL Server, and then next we can open the SQL Server. So once the SQL Server is open, next step is we have to learn how we can create our first database inside the SQL Server. And to create the database, you can see in the first option, this is the databases. So where we have the plus icon. If you click on plus icon, you can see all these databases which are already created in this SQL Server. But you don't need to worry about it because we will start learning with how to create our new database. And to create the new database, you can simply right click on it and click on new database option, which will open a pop-up window where you can add the database name. Say if I am creating a database name Mr. Khatri Social. So you can give any database name. So I'm just taking this as a Mr. Khatri Social, and then you can click on OK button. As soon you click on OK, so you will be seeing that the database is created successfully inside this databases list. So once the database is created successfully, you can see there is a plus icon. When you click on it, so there are couple of things available like the database diagram, tables, views, external resources, synonymous, programmability, etc. So we will learn all these options one by one in our upcoming videos. First, let's start by learning how we can create a table inside the database. So I would like to tell you, table is the main thing where we actually store the data inside the database. Let me give you an example. So you know the Facebook, LinkedIn, there are like so many website available. So whenever you are registering, for example, over the Facebook, so you fill one registration form where they are asking for you your first name, last name, email, phone number, password, etc. And then you click on register now button. So once you click on register now, all your information which you have filled will be saved inside the database, and in the database it is actually saved inside the table. For each information, we can create a separate table to store it. Say, for example, I will start with creating a first table which will save the all the user information for the users who are registering to my website. So let's start creating a new table. So how you can create a new table? You can right click and click on new table. So this will open a window where you can see there are some options like the column name, the data type, and the is allow nulls option. So I will tell you what is this. So if you remember, I was just talking to you that when you're filling the information in any registration form, say for example in Facebook, so they are asking you like what is your first name, what is your last name, what is your email, what is your phone number, what is the password you want to add, etc. So when you are filling those information, so those information will be saved actually inside the columns in the table. So when we are creating any table, so we need to add all those fields which we will be adding in our website where user will enter his or her information. So let's start creating a sample table. I will take it as like user table where I will store all the user information who are registering to my website. So for this, I will take few columns like first name, last name, email, password, phone number, etc. So always remember whenever you are creating any new table, so you can take one column as a ID column, so which will be unique column. So which will make it unique, your data unique across all the rows. Say for example, if you have like today there are like 10 user registered, the next day 10 more register user registered. So as your users are growing, so you definitely want all your users to be unique. So this is the ID column which will have always be unique whenever user is entering the information. So you will learn about it more as we go ahead. So first let's start by creating the columns. So the first column I am taking as ID. So as I told you, this is the column which we will take as unique, and then I will just tell you how you can set the column as unique. So I'm taking this data type as integer, where like only the integer value will be inserted. I will say allow nulls false because this in ID field will be always filled. This is not filled by the user. This is will be auto filled by the us. Like when we are programming, we will auto fill this column. So next few columns I am taking like first name. You can give any data type. This data type means which I have taken that in the first name you can add any character, national character with the maximum length of 50, like maximum 50 characters you can add in the first name. So you can change it up to your choice. Like if you want to give only 15 characters limit when the user is inputting a first name, you can change it here. So but I'm just taking it for the testing 50, and then I will take it as false so that when user is filling registration form, first name will be mandatory for him. Next I will take another column last name with the same data type. I can take, I will take it now as optional because last name we will not force the user that he always need to enter. It is again up to the business choice when we are creating the website. If we need to take it, we can mark it false, like it will be always needed. And then next email. Email I am taking as like false. That means in we cannot insert the null, so user has to always enter the email. Next is phone number. Phone number I'm taking as data type integer. So this is I'm taking as optional. So it is up to user he wants to enter it or not. Next is password. So this is I'm taking as required field so that when user is registering, he always need to enter his password. And now in the beginning when we started creating the table, I told you that this ID field will not be filled by the user. So when we will see this connecting this database will be connected with the .NET project, so user will enter all this information from the form, but this ID field he will not enter obviously. So how to insert this id field data and then which will make it unique always. What you can do, you can right click here and you can set it as a primary key. So what is the primary key? Primary key is the key which is always unique and not null. So it means whenever any information is inserted in this field, so that will be always unique and it will be always not null. So you cannot insert the null inside the primary key. And then the information which you are inserting in this, that should always be unique. So now I also want that I have already set it like not null. So this is fine. Now we cannot insert the null inside this id column. Now the next step is I want to make it auto increment, so that way whenever I'm inserting these information, so this field will be automatically inserted in the database. For this, what you can do, you can come here and you can choose yes, identity increment 1. So what it means, say for example, if I'm entering the first time I'm inserting any user, so I will insert the information for first name, last name, email, phone number, password. So the id field will be inserted that time as 1. So when I'm inserting the second user, like all the information, first name, last name, email, phone number, password, so id will be automatically inserted that time as 2. So because we have set the identity specification yes, where the identity increment is 1. So now from the front end, when the user is inserting the information, he will insert all these fields and this id field will be automatically inserted by the SQL server by taking the +1 from the last row inserted. If it is the first time, id will be 1, and if it is the second time, id will be 2, in same way. So whenever we are entering the more information in this table, so the id will be auto incremented by 1. So once we have added all the columns which we want to add, next we can save this table. For this, you can right click here, click on save, where it will ask you to add the name of the table. As we discussed, we are creating this table to store the user information. So I can just simply give this table name as user, and then I can click on OK. So once I click on OK button, table is created successfully. So now if I want to see this table, I can just click on plus button here inside this database, where you can see the table is created successfully. And if you click on plus button here and click on plus here in the columns, so you can see all the columns which we just created inside this table. So this is all about this video which we have to cover. In the upcoming video, we will learn about how to insert, update and select the data inside this table. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe to my channel. We will come back with the next video. Thank you.